He was already on the ground, so why did the officer keep hitting him? A routine traffic stop, quiet mechanic, then tasers, then fists. The footage went viral, and what it exposed shook the nation. This isn't just brutality, it's a system, and now it's on trial. A moment of calm shattered in an instant. What should have been a routine evening transformed into a scene of outrage witnessed across the nation. As the scene fades from black, the blurred lights of cars illuminate a damp, misty two-lane road. Streetlights glow dimly, revealing worn sidewalks and modest homes. Headlights and taillights crawl through the evening haze, giving the impression of routine traffic. A single vehicle, an older sedan, moves steadily along the quiet street. This isn't just a story about one man. It's a snapshot of a justice system that, even in 2025, remains tragically out of balance. David Brooks, a 32-year-old auto mechanic, is driving home after a long day. Inside his car, he quietly hums along to soft jazz playing from his worn-out stereo. He glances down at a small package containing car parts on the passenger seat, a necessity for an early job the following morning. David's hometown, a modest community in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, bears the quiet tension of neighborhoods separated by economic and racial lines. The humid air tonight hangs heavy, amplifying the weight of an unseen tension that David, like many black men, carries silently. At home, his wife, Keisha Brooks, gently rocks their 3-year-old son to sleep, checking her phone periodically for David's reassuring message, "On my way." Each delay stirs her anxiety. David, a soft-spoken, diligent man, is admired by neighbors for his steadfast work ethic and his quiet humility. But beneath his composed exterior simmers a perpetual caution, a deep awareness of how minor missteps can escalate dangerously when your skin is darker than others. Officer John Smith, meanwhile, is nearing the end of his evening traffic patrol. At 38, with a decade on the Lancaster City Police Force, Smith is known for strict adherence to protocol, often without mercy, particularly in interactions with the town's black residents. David carefully signals to merge lanes, but his turn indicator malfunctions. No blinking signal, just silence. Behind him, the sudden glare of red and blue flashing lights slices through the darkness. His heart quickens, eyes flickering to the rearview mirror. He pulls over carefully, switching off the stereo, his heartbeat audible in the quiet of the car. Officer Smith steps out from his patrol vehicle, silhouetted by headlights and street lamps, walking purposefully toward David's driver's side window. David's thoughts race. Why am I getting pulled over? My blinker just stopped working. It's nothing major. Officer Smith approaches the window, expression stern and authoritative. Driver, step out of the vehicle. David's voice trembles slightly, but he remains polite. Officer, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my signal was out. Smith interrupts sharply, gesturing toward the curbside grass. Stand over there. Hands behind your back. Confusion and unease cloud David's mind. Why do I have to get out? It's just a blinker. Yet obediently, cautiously, he steps onto the grassy verge, hands shaking slightly as he follows the officer's order. As David moves to the spot, he fumbles slightly, adjusting his sagging waistband. He starts to explain, but Officer Smith, already impatient and on edge, swiftly pulls his taser. With urgency and aggression, he shouts, "Don't fight the police!" Before David can finish his thought or react, the officer fires the taser. The electric shock violently jolts David, causing his knees to buckle instantly. A cry of pain escapes him as he crashes face first onto the damp pavement, body convulsing involuntarily. Nearby, stunned witnesses freeze momentarily before a woman instinctively reaches for her phone to record, her hands shaking. David's body twitches helplessly, his breathing ragged and labored. Officer Smith looms ominously, his shadow casting a grim silhouette across David's motionless form. In the dim glow of the street lamp, the taser's electric arcs sizzle audibly, sparks momentarily lighting David's shirt. His gasps, interwoven with the hum of electricity and distant, muted traffic sounds, create an unsettling sonic portrait of escalating brutality. A voice from the gathered crowd exclaims incredulously, "He's already down. Why is he doing that?" As David struggles feebly to rise, Officer Smith suddenly lunges, delivering a forceful punch to his head. David's face snaps sideways, blood swiftly emerging from a fresh gash on his forehead. Before the shock subsides, Smith punches again, striking David squarely on the jaw. David's eyes flutter, then roll back. His body slumps limply onto the pavement, blood steadily pooling beneath him. Standing over David's prone form, Officer Smith coldly utters, loud enough for the bystanders to hear, "He was reaching for my weapon. He was fighting me." His eyes meet the terrified crowd, almost daring them to challenge his version of events. Several bystanders, horrified and speechless, document the scene frantically on their phones. One, a young woman named Vanessa, rapidly uploads a chilling 90-second clip to TikTok. "Police brutality in Lancaster. He was already on the ground. #Black Lives Matter." Within hours, the video explodes across social media platforms, accumulating hundreds of thousands of views and igniting immediate outrage. Comments flood in, "This is horrific. How many more? We demand accountability now." By midnight, the Lancaster City Police Department issues a terse statement acknowledging the incident. Officer John Smith is placed on administrative duty pending an internal investigation. Mayor Jackson, visibly troubled, addresses the media in the morning. "We are deeply disturbed by the footage. We urge patience during our thorough investigation." Local activists respond swiftly, mobilizing a protest scheduled for the next afternoon. By early afternoon, a growing crowd gathers outside the Lancaster City Police Station. Local activists, led by Michelle Johnson, have organized a demonstration rapidly and effectively. Around 200 protesters fill the street, a diverse mix of Lancaster's black residents and a notable presence of white allies. Handmade signs lift defiantly above the crowd. "No justice, no peace. End police brutality. David Brooks deserves justice." Michelle Johnson, a passionate and seasoned activist, speaks with determination through a megaphone. "Every day, we're reminded that justice is not blind. It sees color. David Brooks was a victim of systemic violence. We cannot remain silent." The crowd responds with chants and shouts of agreement, voices merging into a powerful chorus demanding immediate reform and accountability. David's wife, Keisha Brooks, bravely steps onto a makeshift platform, gripping the microphone tightly, her voice cracking with emotion. "David is kind. He would never hurt anyone. All he wanted was to get home safely to us, but he was treated worse than an animal. This must stop." Angela Brooks, David's older sister, joins Keisha, adding forcefully, "My brother is the hardest working, gentlest person I know. We shouldn't live in constant fear that our loved ones won't come home because of the color of their skin." Media crews capture every poignant moment, disseminating powerful images and sound bites across local and national news outlets. The Lancaster Herald publishes a detailed account of the incident, swiftly followed by coverage from regional and national media. The video clip and personal testimonies amplify the outrage, igniting widespread conversation and debate. Social media becomes a battlefield of reactions. Hashtags such as #JusticeForDavid, #LancasterBrutality, and #EndPoliceViolence trend across platforms, gathering millions of interactions within hours. Prominent influencers and celebrities begin weighing in, calling attention to the deep-rooted systemic issues fueling incidents like this. In the following days, experts and media provide sobering context to the event. Recent data from the ACLU of Pennsylvania highlights a disturbing reality. Black Pennsylvanians are 3 times more likely than their white counterparts to experience excessive force during routine traffic stops. This case resonates with painful historical parallels, from Rodney King's brutal beating in 1991 and George Floyd's tragic death in 2020, to Tyre Nichols' fatal encounter in 2023. The pattern of violence and racial injustice echoes hauntingly through these incidents, underscoring an urgent need for systemic reform. In-depth analyses highlight gaps in police training, implicit racial bias, and the glaring lack of accountability within law enforcement structures, reinforcing calls for substantive change. Lancaster PD's Internal Affairs quickly launches an investigation into Officer Smith, temporarily assigning him desk duty. A 5-member police review board, including civilians, evaluates eyewitness accounts, the viral video, and David's medical records. Meanwhile, attorney Jason Williams, representing David's family, files a federal civil rights lawsuit in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, alleging excessive force and civil rights violations. The lawsuit demands significant compensatory and punitive damages for physical injuries, emotional trauma, medical expenses, and lost income. The district attorney announces an independent review to determine possible criminal charges against Officer Smith, stating publicly, "All evidence, including video and witness testimony, will be thoroughly examined. Accountability and justice remain our highest priority." The immediate public outrage crystallizes into sustained calls for tangible reform. A poll conducted 1 week after the incident indicates overwhelming support among Lancaster residents for comprehensive police reform measures, notably mandatory use of body-worn cameras and enhanced transparency. Lancaster University hosts a pivotal forum titled Police Reform and Community Trust, attended by over 300 individuals, including students, community leaders, law enforcement officers, and policy experts. The gathering underscores the urgent need for improved de-escalation training, community-based policing practices, and stronger accountability mechanisms. Legislative bodies swiftly respond. Pennsylvania's House of Representatives introduces the Body-Worn Camera Expansion Act, requiring officers to activate cameras during all interactions. Concurrently, the state Senate allocates increased funding for statewide anti-bias and de-escalation training programs. A regional community review board initiative gains traction, proposing enhanced civilian oversight and greater transparency in police disciplinary proceedings. In the weeks following the incident, David Brooks endures a painful recovery. Physically, he heals from visible wounds, but emotionally and psychologically, deep scars linger. Nightmares disrupt his sleep, vivid reminders of the brutal assault he endured. Everyday sounds, car doors closing, footsteps approaching, trigger waves of anxiety. Supported by Keisha, David begins therapy sessions, confronting the trauma that threatens his peace. Despite the difficulties, he commits to healing, not just for himself, but for his family and community. Gradually, David transforms his pain into purpose. He accepts invitations to speak publicly, cautiously sharing his story with schools, churches, and community groups. His message consistently emphasizes strength, resilience, and the pressing need for systemic change. During a poignant speech at Lancaster University, he states firmly, "I am not defined by what happened to me, but by how I respond. I speak today not just as a victim, but as a survivor who refuses to be silenced. Change will come if we stay united and strong." His courage inspires many, transforming his personal struggle into a rallying point for collective action. The legal proceedings move swiftly. Attorney Jason Williams builds a formidable case, systematically presenting evidence highlighting Officer Smith's excessive use of force and violation of civil rights. Eyewitness testimonies, expert analyses, and the viral video itself form an overwhelming argument for accountability. Officer Smith maintains his defense, insisting through his lawyer that he perceived a genuine threat. However, public sentiment and mounting evidence make his claims increasingly difficult to sustain. The preliminary hearing draws significant media coverage. David, supported by his family and community, attends the proceedings, his presence a powerful testament to his resilience. After careful consideration, the district attorney announces formal charges against Officer Smith, including aggravated assault and violation of civil rights. The announcement is met with applause and relief from the community, a tangible step toward justice. David's case catalyzes broader conversations nationwide about police accountability and racial justice. Major news networks broadcast special reports dissecting systemic racism in policing. High-profile panel discussions featuring experts, activists, and politicians debate policy solutions and practical reforms. Celebrities, influencers, and civil rights leaders use their platforms to amplify David's story, fueling sustained public pressure for meaningful change. On Capitol Hill, the case contributes to renewed legislative momentum. Congress introduces the Justice and Accountability Act, aimed at federal oversight of local police departments, mandatory training reforms, and the establishment of national standards for transparency and accountability. Public polling reveals broad bipartisan support for these initiatives, reflecting an undeniable shift in societal attitudes toward policing and racial equity. 6 months after the incident, David's auto repair shop reopens, boosted by community support and local investment. The reopening ceremony, attended by neighbors, activists, and local officials, symbolizes collective healing and solidarity. Speaking to the gathered crowd, David expresses heartfelt gratitude. "This community lifted me up when I was at my lowest. This shop isn't just a business. It's a promise of hope, resilience, and a better future for all of us." His words resonate deeply, underscoring the transformative power of unity and mutual support. Keisha, now a community leader herself, launches a local nonprofit focused on supporting victims of police violence and their families, providing resources, counseling, and advocacy. David and Keisha's collective efforts inspire a broader movement, motivating others in Lancaster and beyond to engage in meaningful activism and community-driven change. As the trial date approaches, public anticipation grows intense. National media descend on Lancaster, closely documenting each development. Every day brings heightened scrutiny and pressure on local authorities to demonstrate transparency and fairness. During the trial, courtroom seats fill quickly, occupied by journalists, activists, community members, and David's supportive network. David sits composed, bolstered by Keisha's unwavering presence beside him. Attorney Jason Williams systematically dismantles Officer Smith's defense through compelling witness testimonies and expert analyses. One pivotal moment occurs when Vanessa, the young woman who recorded the viral video, testifies. David was already down. He posed no threat. Officer Smith's actions were excessive and unjustifiable. Her testimony resonates deeply, further shifting the courtroom sentiment toward accountability. Officer Smith, confronted with overwhelming evidence and intense cross-examination, falters visibly on the stand, unable to convincingly justify his actions. After days of gripping testimonies and emotional deliberations, the jury retires to reach their verdict, the nation anxiously awaiting their decision. When the jury returns, an electrifying silence grips the courtroom. The foreperson announces, "On the charge of aggravated assault, we find Officer John Smith guilty. On the charge of civil rights violations, we find Officer John Smith guilty." The courtroom erupts in restrained but powerful relief, applause punctuating the profound moment. David, visibly emotional, embraces Keisha tightly, their tears reflecting both pain endured and relief achieved. Outside the courthouse, a diverse crowd gathers, chanting in unison, "Justice for David! Justice for all!" David addresses the press with remarkable poise. "This verdict is more than justice for me. It is a message to everyone facing injustice that we can stand up and fight for accountability. This is just the beginning." His words echo nationwide, galvanizing activists, communities, and policymakers alike. In response to the trial's outcome and sustained public pressure, Pennsylvania's governor signs the Justice Reform Act, encompassing sweeping police reforms, including mandatory body cameras, stringent use of force protocols, and increased civilian oversight. Nationally, the Justice and Accountability Act advances swiftly through Congress, enjoying broad bipartisan support and public backing. It symbolizes a major legislative achievement, directly influenced by David's courageous fight for justice. Local police departments across the country proactively implement comprehensive anti-bias training, de-escalation practices, and community engagement initiatives. David's case becomes a pivotal reference point in law enforcement training nationwide, a sobering reminder of the urgency for lasting change. The community of Lancaster emerges stronger, unified through the shared struggle and ultimate triumph of justice. David's auto repair shop thrives, a symbol of resilience and the power of communal support. Keisha's nonprofit organization expands significantly, becoming a national advocate for police reform and victim support, providing vital resources, education, and advocacy tools to communities across the country. David and Keisha, now prominent voices in the ongoing fight against racial injustice and police brutality, frequently address national forums, academic conferences, and community gatherings, sharing insights and urging continued vigilance and action. At a national town hall broadcasted on major networks, David reflects thoughtfully. "We achieve justice, but true change demands continuous effort. Let our story remind everyone that standing together, demanding accountability, and never giving up can bring about meaningful change." Months after the trial, David and his family settle into a rhythm shaped by purpose and activism. David's auto repair business flourishes beyond expectations, employing local residents and becoming a hub for community meetings and discussions on social justice issues. His quiet demeanor, coupled with an extraordinary resilience and clarity of purpose, becomes a guiding example for those around him. David frequently visits schools and community centers, speaking to young people about personal strength, integrity, and the power of collective action. Keisha's nonprofit, Voices for Justice, expands nationally, providing critical resources to families impacted by police violence, hosting educational workshops, and advocating for comprehensive policy reforms at local and federal levels. Her efforts earn her recognition, including prestigious awards for civic leadership and advocacy. David and Keisha's journey captures the nation's heart. Major media outlets produce documentaries chronicling their story and its broader societal impact, further amplifying their message. David receives invitations to speak before legislative bodies and at national conventions, where he emphasizes continued vigilance. Justice isn't just a verdict in one case. It is ongoing accountability, systematic reforms, and ensuring dignity for every individual. This fight must continue every day. Their inspiring narrative motivates widespread civic engagement and participation in local governance and advocacy. Months after the verdict, Officer Smith's sentencing hearing draws extensive attention. The courtroom fills once again with media representatives, community advocates, and affected families. David, given the opportunity for a victim impact statement, speaks with clarity and compassion. "The violence I experienced cannot be undone, but this sentencing can send a clear message about accountability. Our goal should always be prevention, education, and systemic change. That's the legacy I hope we build." Judge Angela Thompson, moved by the weight of the evidence and the broader implications of the case, delivers a firm yet thoughtful sentence. "Officer Smith, your actions betrayed your badge and community trust. Therefore, you are sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release, along with mandatory community service focused on restorative justice." The sentencing is hailed by activists and communities nationwide as a significant step towards sustained accountability. Following the sentencing, David and Keisha intensify their advocacy work, continuously emphasizing systemic reforms and ongoing vigilance. Their collective efforts significantly influence policies nationwide, reinforcing mechanisms for transparency, accountability, and community engagement in policing. Local law enforcement agencies across the nation implement comprehensive reforms, including robust anti-bias training, mandatory community outreach, and stronger civilian oversight. Schools and universities integrate David's case into curricula addressing social justice, criminal justice reform, and civic responsibility, instilling awareness and fostering active citizenship among younger generations. The couple's persistent, compassionate advocacy contributes to a meaningful, sustainable shift in both public sentiment and institutional practices across the nation. Years pass, yet David and Keisha's commitment to justice never wanes. Their story, once born out of tragedy, evolves into an enduring legacy, empowering countless individuals to confront and dismantle systemic inequalities. David's auto repair shop grows into a thriving community enterprise, funding scholarships for local youth pursuing education in social justice and public service. Keisha's nonprofit, now a leading national advocacy group, establishes chapters across the country, tirelessly promoting equitable reforms and providing crucial resources to affected communities. The couple's influential advocacy results in a landmark Supreme Court decision reinforcing strict accountability standards for law enforcement nationwide, shaping a safer, fairer America for future generations. At a nationally broadcasted commemorative event marking a decade since the incident, David and Keisha reflect publicly on their journey. David, standing composed, says, 10 years ago, our lives changed drastically. Yet, from pain grew purpose, from fear grew courage. Our journey taught us that hope thrives even in the darkest times. Keisha adds passionately, we learned that justice is more than a moment. It's an ongoing commitment to change, accountability, and dignity for all. Our greatest victory is seeing communities everywhere unite for lasting reform. Their words resonate profoundly, inspiring renewed dedication nationwide to uphold justice, equity, and human dignity. The screen gently transitions to David walking down a quiet neighborhood street at dusk, the warm golden light of sunset painting long shadows on familiar brick buildings. He pauses at an intersection beneath a softly glowing street lamp, gazing thoughtfully into the horizon. Every person has the power to influence change. We must never stop believing in our collective strength to create a just and compassionate society. Every story deserves to be heard. Justice never sleeps. David Brooks didn't deserve this. No one does. If the story stirred something in you, smash like, share it, and subscribe for more truths they don't want told. In the comments, what would justice look like if the system actually worked? The silence is over. Let's make them hear it.